85 is not bad. Okay. I'm just going to wait for people to pour in. Chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. I guess I get that out of the way right away, but I'll probably need it more than once within this approximate hour. Really, we just gotta be happy if either of us does good on this channel. First night's no spills. Oh, there's really spills. I just want to watch my energy levels and make sure that I'm maintaining them, for the people that tune in. So my recommendation when I'm especially feeling that is just, if you tune in after the fact and, you're sitting here watching and nothing much is really seeming to happen, skip ahead, because if I keep rolling, something good's got to be in it, So. Should have plugged this in upstairs. I don't think it's the same charger as this, or is it? No. Okay, so welcome. Sorry, just getting things kind of situated here. I glad to have you here. I am rolling because the other person who rolls on this channel, and they're like, don't tell me, just tell me. No, okay. They left, but whatever. So I know I'm moving around a lot. I'm just trying to get the best pillows out of all these pillows. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I'll do the thing. Yeah, so the other person on this channel in here was just rolling, and it was going quite well. So this seems to be a good time to do the podcasting. And I wasn't doing much. He had to get on to something else. So now I don't do the thing that he was doing, but I do something similar if you're interested. And then I also take song requests. I also do a bit of life coaching, and I can do a light amount for free, but donations are always welcome. And I'm not going to sit here and call myself psychic, actually. I'm not going to. I think that I am smart and have good intuition and can give good advice, or at least suggestions. I don't see them as being that different, actually. Either way, you can choose to take them or not, tweak them if you need to, kind of thing. But I most definitely can't for sure guarantee the future. I'd like to think maybe some people are very gifted. I wish I could, but I can't. However, I do, like I say, have an other ability that sometimes can help that a little bit. And so, yes, I welcome you to join in the chat. I haven't been rolling super long. I don't know whether to put super chat on. I mean, nothing's come in yet, so let me see if I can. But then again, there's an option for all, so that would I would imagine that would be all. I'm curious if you've ever been to the channel before, how you came across it, especially if it was like just now and not in the past and you left, whatever. And I'm going to transfer the water. And the titles, speak for themselves too. I mean, sometimes I put more stuff in than the title, or it's kind of just a general title, but, so we can talk about that. I'm here for you, and I got almost an hour, or maybe an hour, if you're lucky. So, what would you like to talk about? Or what song would you like to hear? I am gonna, while I'm waiting to hear from, the person viewing, I haven't been rolling that long. If you would love to chat, I'd love to as well. How do I want to do this? I think I know. Either way, it's kind of random. I'm leaning a bit more strong in one way, but I'm in some ways leaning more strong in the other way. So what I'm going to do is something I sometimes do on this channel. Like I say, feel free to join the conversation. Like I say, I haven't been rolling that long, so it hasn't really started yet, other than what I'm saying. But what I'm going to do is I find with this kind of thing that I'm going to introduce, which isn't the first time on this channel either, it is best if it's organic, if it's not forced too much. But if it's really needed and the moment is right, then it may happen. So what I'm going to do, just to kind of give some content until the chat kind of picks up a little bit, is first I'll premise it by saying, if you've never had such experiences, unless you've seen enough people that have, and the positivity that can bring them in the healing, or you've seen people do it and you can see that they're really good and able, you can't say whether it's real or not. I can, because I've had experiences, and I'd be happy to share some of the ones I've already had. Like perhaps my first one seems to stand out the most because it was my first one, probably. There has been others, of course, that should stand out but don't really, and there was somebody there for like 4 minutes, but whatever. I think they were talking about, when I became not a virgin. Come on, folks, make it worth it. I want to do well as well. He really wasn't rolling that long, eh? No. But, I know I was being a bit vague or slow easing into it. That is true. It is true. But somebody either came back or there's somebody new here, so welcome. Happy to have you here. I haven't been rolling super long tonight myself. This is a channel that 2 of us use in the home. But what I'm gonna share, and we can talk about the title a little bit. We can talk about anything else you've seen on this channel if you have song requests and such. But what I'm thinking I'm going to share is the first experience that I had, and nobody can say it was otherwise because it was too special for me. It was too real, and anybody who's had such experiences would know this. And we got 3 of you here. Glad to have you all here. I was about 25, going through some things, trying to figure out employment, which I'm back to that kind of stage in some ways. Trying to figure out a relationship with somebody who already had kids from actually 3 different guys. So, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm judging anybody, and all 3 of you left. Hope it wasn't those guys. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't want to sound like I'm judging anybody, but that should have maybe been my first kind of like, she... well, I could say she wasn't making good choices. I would have been, but and I've always wanted to be a dad, but I'm not in a position for that kind of thing, and it's not my life right now, and that's fine. And there was some other things kind of coming into things, and nobody's here at the moment, but I do feel like saying those things is relevant, because welcome. The thing is, just you don't. I would think that it would make most sense for all of us to approach this topic. And the person left is like, you're going to tell me what makes sense to me? Okay. No, but seriously, to approach this topic of which I'm bringing up with a curiosity, with an open mind, I mean, I think that's best in most situations, and with the kind of viewpoint where, I don't know for sure, so I can't say for sure. However, if you've had experiences, you can a little bit more so know for sure, I would say. So when I was about 25, I lived at home with my mother, and she was up sleeping, and I was downstairs, and I probably had the TV on, but I don't remember what I was watching. I do remember something about when I briefly lived in a hotel and something with the TV there, but I don't remember what I was watching. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not into. It's not that I'm not into paranormal stuff, but I'm not into, um, you know, certain kinds of movies and books and stuff like that. Some people that are into this stuff might be. I wish I could remember what I was watching, but I don't think that's as relevant as the fact that I was going through some stuff. And here's the thing, peeps. Here's people, friends here on YouTube. And I'm sorry if that sounded a certain way. I'm not necessarily trying to be cool. It's kind of the way I talk, sometimes. But then I realized that it kind of came out a little bit iffy. But our angels, we all will have people pass away in our lives, okay? We all will. Many of us already have had it happen many times. Or even like 2 or 3, which can feel like a lot. And our angels are always with us. Our loved ones, G was saying earlier today, who has a sister who's passing away, but they were like 15 years age difference. So he actually said he's not that close with her. And said something about how he prefers to believe that, there's a heaven and they will see each other again, because it's comforting. Rather believe that than not believe it, and the two people. But and that's something I've always felt too from a pretty young age. But yeah, they are always with us. Because we've got 3 of you here now. Welcome. They're always with us. What I can say from experience in my life, and I lost my first loved one quite young. All 3 of you got right, but whatever. I mean, I was almost 12. Not quite, but almost 12. Who was after that? It's a real good question. I think I went a number of years, from what I know, where nobody was passing away. And then in my 20s, it started happening. In my 30s, which I'm in now, almost out of my 30s. And, my dad's always been quite a special one. Yeah, so, and they are always with us. I feel, and I think that most of us would find that comforting, to know that our loved ones are with us. The thing is that people have so many distractions in life. Like it takes a quite aware person. Well, I don't know if I'd say quite aware. I think that, the signs and symbols that sometimes show up in our life, sometimes often, you just simply have to be aware to notice them. As far as channeling goes, though, I would say that takes a stronger level of awareness that a lot of people just don't let themselves kind of into. I do believe that it is a gift from God, a gift for self, and a gift for others if you use it, properly. And I'll say kosher, for lack of a different word. We've got 3 of you here. Welcome. But so I want to show you how real it can seem in a couple ways, and then, we can chat as well. The first way I'm going to do it is by telling you my first experience. So when I was like 25, like I say, around there, I felt my dad's spirit tell me, and he had already been passed away for a while, but like I say, I was doing okay in life. In some ways, I was doing quite great, actually. What's most important in life and in finding employment is to do something that you like, that you enjoy, and that you're comfortable with. The world's come a long way in accepting people's differences and challenges. Don't be scared to live life. Things will be okay. Which is a lot to guarantee. And we got 3 of you here. By the way, don't forget to like if you're liking anything here. Subscribe, comment, like I say. And you're all here, so you must be liking or curious in some way, so I appreciate that. But, I've carried it with me. Sometimes I don't think about it super actively, but when I think of that first time, that's what I remember. I want people to realize that people that do this are still human. And we have 5 of you here. Welcome. Happy to have you here. They still grieve. They still feel. And they may not experience 24/7. Or, that's a bad example, but, and all 5 of you left, that's weird. I just thought that it was in connection with the previous thing. But now 4 of you here, so all 4 of you came back, another 4 are here. Happy to have you here. Don't be shy to comment in love and kindness, and subscribe, like, all that stuff. Curious how you found the channel, and yeah, welcome. Yeah, so basically, sorry, I've just said a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to remember what I last said before welcoming the 4 of you in. It's all good. Your comments won't distract me. I already have ADHD. Although sometimes it's not too bad. I can hyperfocus in some ways, as people on the spectrum do. And a lot of people on the spectrum also have this ability, I've heard as well. But yeah, I don't even do it weekly, to be honest. Sometimes I go 2 or 3 weeks, and we got 4 of you here. Welcome. So if there's someone you'd like to hear from, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. If there's a song you'd like to hear, let me know. I'll try. Just checking the charge level here. Okay. And I don't know why what's really interesting is we have the AC on. I've been feeling fairly decent all day, but I'm really warm right now. Now, some people may say something that I would find, and anyone else who does this would find rude and offensive, and it wouldn't be true, because I do not ascertain hellish things. Okay? I would be more inclined to say that it was somebody connected to a fire. Or maybe a cook, a chef, which is maybe, thankfully when I do this, I don't feel the symptoms that often. It's mostly my own loved ones, and 2 of them were auto accidents. Some of them were health. Some of them I don't even really know. So, they could make me feel what they went through as some experience, briefly, while they're channeling, and I wouldn't connect that to them. But yeah, in fact, the other person in the house has been in a relationship in the past with a chef, and that person has came up a couple times. I'm almost wondering but I'm also thinking it might be for one of our viewers. Haven't been rolling super long. At the moment, there's just the one. And again, happy to have you here. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't. Hit like. Sometimes that like button doesn't actually hit the first time, or because I know I've had people in the chat that are enjoying being here and chatting, and would like because I reminded them to, and yet they don't. So sometimes it's just wonky, and I'm trying to, but also, like I say, don't be shy in the chat. Recently I was reminded about ages ago, I kind of did, and I did kind of channel them randomly, and it seemed to resonate with somebody. So I'm very tempted to do that. It's been a bit of a long day, but not a super busy one. I'm also almost tempted to just kind of do it for myself and show you that in action, which could also be very powerful. I don't know if there's a preference. I don't want to seem selfish either, though. So what might just be better to do, and I think this is important when we go to channeling sessions too, is not to have too many expectations. Just let things unfold. And I think I should do that too if I'm going to, do a little bit of this in a video here. So I'll do that. Now, one thing I'll say is when I channel my own loved ones, they come on fairly quickly into my telepathy. So it is true, and I don't really get the opportunity to channel for others very often or post it on here in the person left. There seems to be some curiosity, but anyway, it is true that I'm not used to. I don't really have a way of getting in the mode, but I'm gonna try. For you and for me, I'm gonna try. So I do appreciate your patience as I sit here and try and as I grab a Kleenex just because I feel like my nose needs it. But who knows? Maybe I'll need it. And I have done it this way before. It's true. It's just been a while. So what I'm actually sensing is quite sad. I mean, when anyone passes, it is sad. It's true. But what I am sensing is a child and someone who I'm going to guess it was her father. That's what I'm sensing. I noticed that I was really warm, even though the AC was on. As soon as I said that, I'm a little bit chillier, which is really weird. I don't get these physical things very often. And no, it's not a possession. It doesn't feel like one. It feels special. It feels like it's going to be healing. And so that's cool. Now, I don't connect this with anybody for myself. So this has got to be for one of the two viewers. Again, I sense a child, a girl, and I also sense a man. And they are connected to each other, I feel like. And I had this weird visual of like them coming outside. And that's why I felt a little chillier. Like they stepped outside, they may be in pajamas or something. For you, welcome. Glad to have you here. I also take song requests. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. We have a sign in our home. It's interesting that it starts with the word and it's in bigger letters, and I keep looking at that sign and the person left. But either came back somebody else here. So I'm gonna guess that the name could be Andrew or Andrea, but I'm sensing a bit more strongly Andrew. So it's seeming meant to be that 24 minutes in, which isn't super long, and now there's two of you here, so that this is meant to resonate with one or maybe both of you. I mean, people can have similar connections or whatever, even if they don't know each other and it's not the same people. So this Andrew and what's interesting is that I see a flash visual of a little girl, but then I see her in her 20s suddenly. And what I know from angels is that when they pass away, they pick the best kind of point in life, their favorite point in life, and that's what they are. However, if they passed young and they have less to choose from, it seems as though they would get kind of like a free pick, or just age, but up to a certain point, because, yeah, if that makes sense. Like, they don't need to get old and die. Mind, lots of people die young. It's true. Such as this girl. So, is this resonating with anybody? We got 3 over here, so it seems to be. I also take song requests if song that makes you think of these people, or just in general. We got one over here, but that's fine. I'm hearing the number 7. I don't get numbers very often, and what I'm guessing it means is 7 years ago, maybe 17. And for some reason, the girl is quite shy, and the guy is not necessarily seeming shy, but kind of like he's holding back a little bit, like he's just trying to get a sense of what's going on here. But he just reached out his hand. I saw that in my visual for a handshake, and he seems to want to tell the viewer, this is one of your loved ones who's passed away. It's within the viewer left, whatever. But you know what? I'll do this anyway, because maybe it'll mean something for me. Maybe it'll mean something for the people that see this afterwards, and maybe that person, maybe it was resonating, and they might come back. And the thing of the matter is even if it was 7 years ago, or 17, which is even longer, it's never an easy thing to deal with, to go through. I would say as the years go on, it does get easier, but it's still going to be sad, hard to accept, those kind of things, right? And it's really warm again. It's like my arms are a little chilly, but the rest of me is quite warm. More than usual when the AC is on. And it's not like I'm exerting that much energy, I wouldn't say. Okay, this is interesting. The man is saying that he has met my dad. The fire that I'm sensing was my dad's work truck. He doesn't know what else he should share with me, but he wants me to know of their connection and my dad's work truck, which was a welding truck that he was in an accident with. Is something he wants to kind of clarify for me. I will admit it's been a bit of a long day, as I say, and I will also state I'm not meaning for it to be an excuse, and sometimes I say this and then can have a really nice visit, but I really do think that there probably is something to the fact of, when it's been a while since I've channeled, it will be a little bit tougher to get into the mode, just because. So if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. Pretty sure I have the chat on. I don't usually get so warm. I don't usually get so warm when I'm doing this. This is crazy. You know what else I think it is too, though? Like, this man, and the kid, but this man has a great energy about him. Like you could say, like a very warm energy about him. I mean, angels would anyway, I guess, but there's just something about him. And so, maybe it's a bit of that, too, so. But anyway, he feels that this will get to the people that it needs to get to that connect with him, and they will. Sorry, I had my hat on. A piece of hair is sticking up. They will. They will know. He says, and it's great if you get the appreciation it's shown to you, sir. He says, however, this is the message from my loved ones, and that's, he actually said most important to him. But I do think that he understands that, getting the appreciation, getting the yeah, things like it, is in words even, is a good thing. So there's been a lot of kind of dancing around at the top there. I think what I need to do with this particular individual is ask him some questions. I don't do that often because when it's my own loved ones, I guess I feel like I don't need to, or they'll know what I need to hear. That's, I think, what it is. So we got 3 of you here. If you have a song request, if there's anything you need support on, anything you're wondering about the future, I wouldn't say I'm psychic. Not all people that do this are, but I think I could be greatly helpful if there's something that you... Anywho, so this guy does make me feel very comfortable, very relaxed, and he's pretty much just saying something about somebody having a new job that he is connected to, very closely connected to, I will say, not like just an acquaintance or and someone that he's known for a number of years, actually. A new job. I'm actually almost sensing... Well, what I'm sensing is that, and, some people would like to hear this. Some people would be like, I just want employment. I don't need to move up the ladder. That doesn't matter to me that much, if I'm happy where I'm at. But I sense that he is communicating with somebody who is very driven, is someone who would want to kind of progress. Interestingly, he's saying that one of the people that's strongly on his mind that I was alluding to a moment ago there, he's saying part of the reason that they would want that is because they have had quite a hard life. So you could say that they would just be happy with anything, but also they would be happy with anything. They would be happy to, within this job, climb up the corporate ladder, I guess you would say. And he thinks that they can. In fact, he'd like to say he knows that they can. He said this person has a lot of skill, has a good head on their shoulders, and he loves them very much. And he knows that they can do this. He knows that they can keep their life moving forward in a positive way. And that they deserve that. They deserve that in their life. He says, quite honestly, they always have. But they didn't feel it themselves. He's saying this to me, to say to you. He says, and language is language. However, he is also stating that he has a younger person that was in his life who is, and some people could say, well, yeah, young people would do this. A lot of people do it when they're older. And a lot of young people don't really do it. They just go about their lives, and it unfolds. They have lots of fun. They're, this and that, and they don't think to, or don't really feel like they need to explore who they are as a person. Um, but he says that this particular person, and it's very interesting because it's something I'm seeing in front of me, kind of sort of. He says this particular person, and feel free to weigh in. I'm curious how this is resonating. Um, is on a gender spectrum journey. And he just wants them to know that he does accept them. He interestingly adds, they may be surprised to hear this, because he says he was somewhat religious. You know, like he did not hide that he felt that there is a God and that we should do by him. Was his actual words. He says he wants people to know that he felt that very strongly in his life, but that he's just another example of when he passed, he witnessed God firsthand. And he says, so I know that he's real. It's so nice, he says, to not have to wonder anymore. You know, because even strong believers may sometimes say, is this religious route one I want to keep having in my life? Do I still believe? Because life is hard. Because, you know, even as believers, if you don't have the tangible, if you don't have the I can see you, I can hear you in this being, that you might not fully be sure. But he says, once he got to heaven, he's very sure. And he says he's also very sure from the things that he has went through in life and in the afterlife, that God does create diversity. He doesn't want us all to be the same. And he means a lot by that. He says, you know, people can say when somebody comes into the world, for instance, as a certain gender, especially religious people, they would say that is the gender they should be then. He's saying what it really is God creating their journey. So he may really feel like their journey should start out as a particular gender. But that does not mean that he doesn't disagree, that he doesn't agree with the fact that as they go about life, that can change. I personally think it makes a lot of sense, actually. You know, not telling people what to do or anything. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. Like, seriously, don't be shy, people. And remember to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. I appreciate it. We got 3 of you here. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure what this looks like in my life, but I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Got 3 to 1. To look at things in the sense of a spectrum. Not just gender, but since that's what we're talking about for a moment here, I feel like even very masculine men have a feminine side. You know, they've had women in their life. Those women have made an impact on them in one way or another. They were born from a woman, you know. And I do believe that a lot of them just don't really look at it. They you know, and some of it's because they're afraid of the judgment from their friends and their family. Things are changing, but they're not there yet, I would say. as far as that kind of stuff being fully accepted. But yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting to kind of think about that. Kind of like, yeah. And there are many reasons for it. There are why someone would look at that kind of thing. Um, so it just goes back to, I don't want this to come across too religious for people that wouldn't. And see, I have both in my life. Is my faith always strong? Do I, am I the most religious person out there? No. But, and I'm just going to plug this in, but I have both in my life and I see how I can. I'm just going to plug this in. You may lose me for just a second here. I thought you would, but oddly, unlike usual, you didn't this time. So that's interesting, and you're still here, so I appreciate it. I just had to have my hat off. Sorry that my hair is a bit messy. It is still really warm in here. I don't know why. Anywho, so yeah, basically he's just saying that, that um, this individual, but honestly and truly, yeah, most people in his life, but certain people he feels needed to know it more, needed to hear it more strongly. And he says, hey, he says, maybe they didn't feel they needed to hear it from God, but he says, I'd like them to hear it from me. I hope they hear it from many other people. And he says, this is the way that he chose to deliver it. And they can take it how they wish. So I just have to put the phone down for a moment. So I'm very curious. I've been rolling for not quite an hour yet, but and the numbers have been kind of, I don't know if I should admit this, but it's interesting to note this, I suppose. The numbers have been moving around at the top. If people are commenting, I'm very sorry, I'm not seeing the comments. I don't know why that would be. It is a different device than what G was using earlier. Maybe I should have used that one, and it seems like, I've used this one before, and people have stayed for a while, so I don't think it's an audio issue. I don't know, maybe you're just intently listening and feeling strong feelings about what's being said, and trying to decide maybe what to say. So, and all three of them, right? But this is my journey. This is what I am kind of brought here to do. So I'll do it and hope that it impacts somebody, in positive ways. So, love and kindness. Don't be shy, and remember to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Now, earlier on in this video, I had, I had said that there was another way that I could have went about this, which would be my own loved ones. And there's quite a few. So it's sometimes hard to figure out, like, which one would I want it to be. My dad, I think, always makes the most strong sense as far as, like, choice-wise. But one thing I can tell you is that he has told me that, even though he's happy if that's the case, he says, as long as I'm hearing from some of them, or as long as I'm continuing to hear from them, it doesn't hugely matter to him whether it's him or not. And I've thought that has been very interesting of him to say. Very unselfish, I guess you could say. But, being selfish isn't always a bad thing. So I've just, spent quite a bit of time pouring out some stuff, not very much so for myself. Uh, and I'm very curious how it resonates with the viewers. But I'm also going to let you see in action what it can look like when it's just kind of, because doing it with my own could still be very healing and powerful for you to hear. So we've got 3 people here. I'm just going to sit for a quick moment here. And it's very hard because there's so many of them. There's so many of them. And I know they all love me. And you know what, honestly? You want to know something? My loved ones are just all about giving the love. So to the 2 people that are here right now, if you need a little love, and I'm not saying romantically necessarily, but if you need a little love, you have it from my angels, and you have it from me, and I want you to know that. And I've felt my dad say that before, actually, too, him specifically, and that may have seemed a little bit weird. I understand, because 2, but 2, and then now it's 1 again. I understand you don't know them, but do you know? I mean, and love can mean so many different things. It's true. We could rephrase it, perhaps, to say care. Their care, for what you're going through in your life, and their hopes that you have an enjoyable life and get the things that your heart most desires. And usually I can tell the difference when it's coming from me and when it's coming from angels. And as I'm saying this, I had to stop and ask myself. And there was something, again, maybe they meant to like it, because how can you not like something so genuine and sincere and but I had to sit and ask myself, okay, was that me saying what I not just feel, I know that they feel, or was it one of them? Sorry, my eyes are just tired, and it's this particular phone. It's easier on the laptop, but and I had 2 on my mind. And in fact, I actually feel like the answer that I'm getting is that they said it in unison. And the 2 I have on my mind is my dad, and is a friend who I call Ray, which is a short form of her name, essentially. And Dad is telling Ray to go ahead, and Ray is saying, buddy, as much as I want this to, be for you, and you're doing this thing, and that can mean something for someone else as well. If you're okay with it, she says, I would rather talk in a general sense. But she says, but first off, I just really want to thank you for singing that song with me the other day. You can see it in the video. It was called A Tribute to a Friend or whatever. And you can see it. She says, I'm really sorry that it was not monetized, even though it was not a karaoke cover. It was not, singing with the original. And I don't know, and that. But and she said, okay, but then the person's back. I'm not sure if it's the person who was just there or not, and I'm really quite curious, actually. But if not, either way, here's the message that I have for you and for me to wrap this up. Coming from Sounds like Ray. And I just need to take a short breather because I've been talking for almost an hour. She says, first I'm going to start with this guy. And she points at my dad and she says, we know that you have something open the eye. Again, this can be very powerful for anybody who hears it. So she's saying, we know that you have something open on the computer with a reminder that whether you look at it or not, again, and she says, we think you will. You even if you don't really feel like you need to, we think you will. She says, you do know it. You do know it, buddy. She says, even when you're doing your streams, if sometimes they are a little quiet, and they're not necessarily reaching like you would hope at times. And at times, sometimes when you really feel like it's what you need, it's what you'd really get something from it, and that. She says, you know it, buddy. It's not always. I don't want to say this the wrong way, but she says, it's not just about you. She says, and that they are always here. But she says, her buddy is a great guy, and he really does deserve all the love and kindness that he can get in this world. She says, I knew him, for a few years when I was alive on Earth. And this may sound like, I'm talking myself up, but again, I know that I'm utilizing this ability, and hopefully you know that too, because, or at least strongly sense it, because I am. I have confidence, not to be mistaken with ego. I have confidence in my abilities, and I could totally talk myself up, or I could totally, talk myself positively, whatever you want to call it. But I really don't do that, or I try not to do it often. Like, it's not who I am. It was very much who she was, though. She was definitely a kind of a cheerleader of many people. And so she's saying, yeah, I don't know how often this has happened. I think it has, though, a few times. It's been a while. What I'm going to do, and hopefully this will be helpful for you, and again, don't be shy in the comments. What I'm going to do is ask them what was the biggest things that they learnt in their life before they passed. What was their... Yeah, I feel like there might be a better way to say that, but hopefully you know what I'm saying. And I know they do. So which of the two of you would like to start? Right, okay. Which is like I was already talking, so I might as well just do this and then sit down and be quiet. She said, so she says, she's introducing herself to you a bit more formally, I guess the word would be. I always confuse formal and informal, but anyway. That her name's Ray, that she passed in her early 30s. She says, should we say how? I don't know, that's up to you. She's like, I don't think I need to. I think what I would just say is that people need to really watch their health. If they have any concerns, get it checked out. She says, is she sad that she passed away? She says, yes, of course. But she says, at the same time, I'm so happy I'm here. She says, and the two worlds do connect. And she says, if that wasn't the case, she'd fight to come back. She would. But she's content. And she says, and you know that, bud, to me. And I do. And I think I knew that she met my dad before. And she says, so, but if you have things in your life people in your life, pets in your life, and most of us do, I suppose. Uh, she says, try to be as healthy as you can so that you can live as long as you can for them. She says, even if you just have a glimmer of a goal still sparking inside of you, don't let it go out. Keep doing your best in life. Keep trying to be the best people that you can be for other people, family, friends, and even strangers. And you know, this is so resonating to the kind of person that she was. She's like, well, I am saying it. And you'll enjoy your life. If you do that, she says, I honestly feel like you'll enjoy your life. And maybe you do enjoy your life, she says, but you'll enjoy it more. I have a question for her. I'm going to ask her, and I don't often ask them questions. What do you feel about telling people that you love them? Do you feel it's necessary? She says, you know, but I kind of know what you feel, and I do kind of agree with you. It's nice. I'm not going to tell someone not to do it, but I don't think that they should be, as we get 4 of you here, welcome, happy to have you here. I don't think that they should, and I'm really sorry. One thing I will say too is if you are putting comments in the chat, for whatever reason, I'm not seeing them right now. What I would recommend is that you copy them and paste them into something, or just after this video is posted, come back to the video and paste them in the comment section. Hopefully they'd be there. Anyway, that you don't have to say you love, just be close at hand. That basically, and all 4 of you went, really hate that song, do you? Oh, but one of you's back, maybe. That, you know, that we can show it. We can show it. And sometimes that's almost better than saying it. Because if you were to say it to somebody in your life all the time, there will be times when they don't feel it from you. There will be times when they feel like you're just saying it too much. But you can show it. I mean, in some ways I want to say never too much when it comes to love. But I think you know what I mean, you know? And wow, suddenly we got 5 of you here. Wow. There was 1 and then there was 5. Welcome, glad to have you here. So yeah, basically, I think that these are quite powerful special messages that we can all carry with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now we got 2. And we have 2 angels present tonight. We may have more connected to you. I can't roll super much longer, but if you would like to hear from one of your loved ones, just feel free to let me know in the comments. Hopefully they'll show up, the comments. But I'm now going to ask my dad what he would give as his kind of top things he learned in life. This is Gary here. Now that's really kind of odd. I don't know what to think for a moment here. It went to what looks like an hour mark, as it is, but it's not showing the duration thing moving. But we do have someone here, and we got a like. So I thank you for that very much. I don't mean to sound weird in asking, but I am very curious what specifically you liked. I'm curious to know. And don't be shy. But my dad is saying that The duration thing is being a bit wonky. He knows it's going to distract me. Your comments won't. Your comments won't. We got 4 of you here now. Um, he says, "Hey, I don't mean to." Now it says 101, which is interesting. To and one viewer, but wouldn't it 1 hour? Wouldn't the next? Why did that number change? Shouldn't it be on the other side of the decimal, or the whatever you call those 2 dots? Hmm. Anywho, he's saying even though that like came from someone else, he also wants me to feel that it came from him. So Ray, where's my like from you? Can you like it on behalf of my friend and of yourself? There's got to be something, folks. No, I don't mean to be like begging or anything like that. But he says 43. He says, um, you know, it's kind of late at night where you're, here, and doesn't want to take anybody's time too much more, but he would like to answer my question, and he hopes that it may help you. Sorry, chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. What's this charged at? 39. It's ironically my age. Now it says 102, and 4 of you here. Happy to have you here. So this is an. If you don't know, if you just tuned in and you don't know what I'm doing here, part of me feels like I should explain because it would maybe help it make a bit more sense. Part of me thinks that just do it. Hopefully you appreciate it, and that. So I think I'm going to do the latter. Well, he's going to do the latter. So, Gary here, and all 4 of you left, but he's still here, I know that. And I was 1 of 3. 1. Welcome. 48. 49, actually. And he passed away. He's saying something to the effect of, he says, how do I word this? He says, I know how I want to word it, how it would make sense to me. But he says he doesn't want it to just be, he wants us to try and resonate as best as it can with others as well. He says, I'll just say it. He says, I was a workaholic. My family knows, and maybe you'll relate to this to someone in your life, says, my family knows that I love them very much, and that I would have done anything for them. He says that we can't look back with regrets with this kind of thing. Why am I suddenly seeing a star and a C at the corner? What does that mean? We can't look back with regrets. Like maybe I should have been with my family more. He says when he first passed away, and that he did feel real bad about that. He says, but he's learned to accept it because the truth of the matter is he didn't know he was going to pass. I mean, right before, sure. And he says that if anybody hearing this, and I'm guessing a lot of people would relate to it, either is a workaholic or whatever you want to call it, similar, or has one in their life. He says, first of all, he would say what he would say and hope that they would say the same thing. They do care about you and they do love you. Um, some may use it as an escape. Some may really love their job. Um, but that, yeah. Um, he says, as long as it isn't causing anybody else anything negative, sorry, let's put that down for a moment. He says, be yourself. And know that it is just fine. Says, live your life as you wish to love it. Like I say, like it says, as long as you're doing positive. But I say because I'm relaying it. You're doing positive things. You know, for yourself and for others, and making that your goal in life. If even if you're struggling to reach other goals, as long as you're trying to do good things. He says, um, and just enjoy your life. When yeah, because, um, and the people in your life. We all hear sometimes that tomorrow isn't promised, things like that. Life isn't guaranteed, things like that. We got two of you here. Welcome. Two of you. I think my eyes I blinked and it looked like a three for a moment. But no, seriously, there is really something to that. And I understand that some people don't, this is me now, if you can tell, some people don't really have close families. They don't really have um, maybe a lot of close connections sometimes. Um, but still, try and live your best life. All you can do is try. Thanks for the like. Appreciate it so much. Curious if the people watching have ever been to the channel before, by the way. And again, that did come from one of the viewers, but my dad is saying it also came from me. First of all, he says, I'm very proud. Very proud. He says, of all the stuff I see you doing on here. He says, this was not my generation. This is, but he says, I'm proud, don't you? And he says, you're really trying to do just what I said, actually, and make a positive impact for yourself and for others. And you're trying to live your best life. But he says, it's been so many years. He says, I have really healed from my passing and what I had to give up to do so. He says, but I would think and hope that everybody has at least one or two people that they're close with in their life. And now it's two again. Hello. One or two people that they're close with in their life who kind of holding the phone with the other one, kind of keep them you could say certain people would really relate to the fact that they're, maybe they're going through a lonely patch in life, but those one or two people kind of keep them alive. Really. And he says, obviously, you got to know how special those people are. You got to keep them close. You got to love them. They keep you in this life that, although can be very challenging and hard, sometimes can also be very beautiful. You also have some credit for doing that for yourself. He says, although I've come to great acceptance with the passing, um, it took a while. He says, and this is not something that he shared with me even very much. He says, it took a while. And sure, part of me thinks that that's probably very common, but he says, but it wouldn't be so common for somebody who was 80 or 90, who lived a full life, did lots of great things, still would leave people behind on earth. But, he says that he didn't really live a very long life. That he really appreciated his life, though. He says, I will tell people through you what I told you. If they didn't hear it earlier when you said it, say it again. He says, what's most important is that you do stuff that you like, that you enjoy, and that you can do. Even if it's not to the capacity that you like, he's going to have me do something very interesting here. Sorry for the mess, people. Sorry for the mess. He says, keep playing that guitar. If you don't play, I can't show you the mess any longer than that, I'm sorry. But he says, if you don't play an instrument yet, you're looking at someone who'd be happy to teach you. Three of you here. Glad to have you here. I do have to wrap up soon. But he says, enjoy your pets. He says, don't ever give up the things that you like to do. Even if you're not doing them to the capacity that you like. And Dad, why do I feel like it took you so long to tell me this? He says, I've been telling you all along to me. He says, and I think you kind of know it too. But he says, you dream big. And when your dreams don't always come as quickly as you would like, you slow down with the things that you love. And I know that you know that, he says to me. And maybe you relate to this too. And he says, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big. But he says, when it stops you from doing the things that you love, that bring you and others joy, and that, he says, that's not great. He says, that's not great, And I remember once he actually did visit. And a lot of us have probably had visits that we haven't even realized we've had. A thought goes through our mind, and we think it's our thought. But maybe it's not, So maybe I was doing this long before I realized I was doing it. Some thoughts are ours, of course. And like once you've done this long enough, you can usually tell the difference. But, maybe something went through you, or maybe you've said to yourself, that's what so-and-so, that's the kind of thing so-and-so would say, or this makes me think so much of so-and-so. One of your angels. Well, yeah, because it was them. And I remember My dad once saying to me many years ago, and that, you know, he sees me playing the guitar, he sees me talking to people I talk to, and how happy I am when I'm doing that. And he says he's happy too. So, I am going to wrap up soon, but we got 3 people here. See, I started long before you did when I was looking for something to do, so I'm just going to go upstairs for a moment here and see what that brings into things. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I really would love to hear from you. You know, I mean, the likes are great. The views are great. We've got 4 of you here now. But yes, there's a part of me that would really love to hear from you. Thanks for the like. I really appreciate it. But yeah, and I'm curious if it was the person that just tuned in, or I think there was 2 that just tuned in actually. It doesn't, it's great either way, but I'm curious. Because I know that was really powerful a few moments ago, and then it was a little less powerful, but whatever. We got one over here now. But yeah, basically, so there was a few things within that, I think, that I might even have to look back at again. You know, I mean, not giving up on your dreams and doing the things anyway. Doing the things anyway. He says he knows that I am very much of a person who loves photography and loves people and would love to connect those 2 things in a career. He says, but I also know that you love taking pictures of your dog. I also know that you like taking pictures of nature. I saw you looking at some photos today in a group, he says. Whether you're looking at photos, captioning photos, taking them. If you like it, do it. If it's not causing anybody else negative, whatever the word is, then do it, you know. Because it keeps your passions at least somewhat alive. It gives you a purpose. And many of us know how when we don't have passion and purpose in our life, we can get very depressed. We can get very hopeless. And that's not fun, right? And now everybody's left and I'm tired. So, but somebody's either back or somebody new is here. So, now there's 2 of you. I do feel like I have to briefly step into the other room. You may hear G on the piano downstairs. I hate to go off screen, but I've been on screen for 1 hour and 18 minutes. I really will wrap up soon, actually. But when I came upstairs and was sensing what I was sensing, I felt that there was some sort of connection. And I'm not entirely sure what it is at the moment. And I'm not even sure if it's for me or the one person who's stuck out of the 3 that's still here. It may be late at night. People work in the morning. People's phones die. There could be a reason that is not, anything personal. But so I'm wondering if something that I've said is really resonating with you. I'm tempted, could be wrong, totally realize I could be wrong, but I'm tempted, because of the room that I'm in right now in our house, to say that it might have something to do with art or painting. We got 4 of you here. I just need to step away very briefly, and I'm sorry because 3 of you just came in. I'm hoping that you're 3 people who are at least somewhat familiar with this channel and will be understanding, or if you're not familiar with this channel, that you will still be understanding. I've been rolling for 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I'll be right back. Woo-hoo. Okay, we got one of you here, and I feel like you're the one that's meant to be here for a few minutes more before I wrap this up. I'm using... Oh, but you left. But I can't not express something. Oh, it either came back or somebody else is here. Sorry. Using something as a tripod, and I'm needing to use it for what it actually is. So I don't know if you're someone who's been here during much of... No, you left. Anywho, I don't know what I'm getting from this. I don't know what I'm getting from this. Because I'm sensing that my dad's spirit has left for now. That he is on his way to the hospice of where we have a relative soon to pass away. And I don't know if that is to bring her up. He never knew her. I don't think it requires more than one of them to do so. Surely she's got others that would probably go do it. If it's just to give her company, if it's to kind of keep her there for now. You know, I think of a lady that I knew. She was the mother of someone that I knew, and I knew them both. And she recently passed at 104 years old. And for the past, doesn't feel like it was, for the past, I would say 5 or 6 years. I mean, I don't mean to say that, you know, because lots of us have elderly people in our lives. I'm not meaning to say, oh, they've lived a long life, you know, but seriously, like she had 4 kids. 2 had passed away, and one could, well, if she lives like her mother, she might still have quite a number of years, but she's in her 80s, because her mother was 104, right? She might even have been in her 90s, for goodness sakes. But I always wondered, you know, I wonder what's keeping her here. And I'm wondering the same about Kathleen. Like, I wonder what's keeping them earthbound when so many other people die so much younger, and, you know, such and such. I used to tell myself she's good company for the other residents. You know, she's enjoying herself where she's at, even if she doesn't, you know, even if she has Alzheimer's and, you know, that kind of stuff. And maybe her kids needed her. And she must have had a lot of grandkids. Although one of her kids didn't have kids. He was like a big kid. Yeah, what I know that he did lose, or she did lose one of her grandsons to suicide, unfortunately. But anyway, I probably already had a pretty good end to this video, but then I came back after I went briefly to the other room, and because I was sensing that my dad is going to see this other relative in hospice. You know, in spirit, he's going, and he wasn't related to this person actually. You could say blended family. But I've thought of reasons why that makes sense, and I think that that's comforting for any of us to know that have a loved one that's really not doing well in the hospital or in hospice, to know that when we're not there and other loved ones aren't there, that the angels are. I think that that's fairly comforting. You know, and when the time comes, when the time is right, even if it doesn't feel right, it will happen at some point. And then we end up, you know, going through the grief and the healing and the acceptance stages, right? Only anything. Anywho, if you haven't already liked and subscribed and all that, feel free. Again, really sorry if anybody's commented and I've not addressed your comments. I'm not seeing them. But hopefully afterwards, they'll show up. I might suggest that you kind of select, copy, and if you don't see it, hopefully you'll be able to paste it in and keep trying until you do see it, because I would sure love to hear from you. You know. But I think for now, because it's late, I was already kind of tired, and this one, got me more there, I feel like. But I'm really glad that it happened. I'm really glad that it happened, and there's lots to process from it. For me, perhaps for you, and I hope it helped you in some way, obviously. I hope that, the angels hope that, yours, mine, and I guess I'll finish this off by saying that, whether you want to hear music or if you just want to chat, come to any of our videos that catch your eye. Comment them, we'll get back to you. And happy to have the community here on YouTube, for sure. So here it's late. So for anywhere else where you're getting ready for bedtime soon or wrapping up your day, I wish you a good night. For anyone that is just starting their day in the other side of the world, I hope you have a lovely one. I hope that it's productive if you need it to be, that it's not too stressful, that you have some nice interactions, and yeah. And all of them left. They're like, okay, good. Now that the genie has granted my wishes, and maybe tomorrow, I could do I'm not a miracle worker. I can't really grant wishes, but we could talk about, actually, it brings it kind of around to the title, to be quite honest, and hopes for the future. What are your hopes for your future? I'd be curious, because I'll tell you what, if you feel like you need suggestions, ask. If you feel like you're just saying, that's fine too. But I would like to, and the viewers laugh, but we got two here. I would like to carry hope along with you. If there's something I can do, maybe I can try and help. But if not, then I can only hope that, if it's something that is a good thing, that that you will manage to reach your goals. Okay, folks, so with that, remember all the, important things in life: sleep, activity, connection, relaxation. Remember to do those things for yourself. They're pretty important. And I really love how my dad reminded me that, to keep doing the things that we like to do, So, and that's not to say that we have to do them every day, but, yeah. Anyway, I gotta plug this in, so. Got 1:30, 6. Wrapping this up. If you are just tuning in for the first time to this video, sorry, the lighting in this room. If you're just tuning in for the first time to this video and you're not sure what it's been about, you're welcome to check it out, and you don't have to watch it all at once, of course. If you want to, go for it. but you don't have to. But and don't be shy to comment. And if you'd rather check out other videos on this channel, and also cool. So don't forget, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Don't be shy. Remember to take good care of yourself and try to do the same for others. Bye for now.